Have you ever wondered how a nation of over 1,000 tiny islands, scattered across the vast Indian Ocean, found its place on the world map? The story of mapping the Maldives is a captivating journey of national pride, its colonial ambition, and the relentless quest to chart the unknown. Let's start in the mid-20th century, a time of great change for the Maldives. As the nation moved toward becoming a republic, its first president, Mohammed Ameen Didi, undertook a visionary project. He authored a book known as Geography AI, Thaarafeh, which translates to Geography of the Islands. This wasn't just a book. It was the first formal atlas of the Maldives, created for its own people. Written around 1950, Ameen Didi's work was a revolutionary act of self-documentation. In an era with limited records, he drew from local folklore, fragments of colonial charts, and his own extensive travels to create a comprehensive guide. His goal was practical: to improve governance, make sea travel safer, and preserve the nation's cultural heritage. But it was also deeply symbolic. By mapping the archipelago and listing island names in the Didi script, he was forging a unified national identity, asserting Maldivian sovereignty, just as the islands began to distance themselves from British protection. The book is more of a visual atlas than a dense text. It meticulously catalogs the 26 natural atolls and nearly 1,200 coral islets. Each entry includes traditional Didi names, geographic coordinates, and key details like population centers and economic activities. It even delves into the linguistic ties between the Didi language and seafaring life, explaining words like fushi for island and ha for reef. The maps themselves are the centerpiece, beautifully illustrating the nation's 820-kilometer equatorial chain and its incredibly low elevation, a feature that subtly hints at the future threat of rising sea levels. More than just a tool for sailors, Geography of Thaarafeh was a declaration of independence, a way for the Maldivian people to see and understand their own country on their own terms. But to understand the significance of Ameen Didi's work, we need to rewind a century earlier, to a time when foreign powers were drawing the maps. Between 1834 and 1836, the British Hydrographic Survey, led by Commander Robert Moresby, arrived in the Maldives. The British Empire, seeking to control the lucrative Indian Ocean trade routes, needed precise charts to navigate the treacherous atolls that guarded vital shipping lanes. Previous European maps were sketchy at best. Moresby's mission was different. He had just successfully charted the Red Sea, and now the British Admiralty wanted him to do the same for the Maldives. His goal was to create safe passages for steamships, speeding up travel between the Red Sea and the East Indies long before the Suez Canal was even built. When Moresby arrived in Mali in 1835, he presented the survey as a mutually beneficial project for trade. But the Sultan Muhammad Imadadin IV saw it for what it was: a threat. Revealing the intricate network of channels and reefs would strip the islands of their natural defenses, leaving them vulnerable to attack. The Sultan refused permission, restricted Moresby's access, and kept a close watch on his movements. This created a tense standoff. Meanwhile, political drama was unfolding in the background. Maldivian rebels exiled to nearby Mincoy were pleading with the British for help to overthrow the Sultan. Britain, ever the opportunist, saw a chance. They stalled the rebels' return while quietly supporting their challenges to the throne, all while waiting for their chance to get those precious maps. The stalemate broke when the Sultan suddenly died in late 1835. His successor was far more receptive to the British, and with their political allies now in power, the survey was quickly approved. This act of sly diplomacy laid the groundwork for the Maldives to become a British protectorate in 1887. Handing over its foreign policy to London, in true colonial fashion, Moresby's team began renaming parts of the archipelago. The most prominent example is Hanakondu, a vital channel, which they dubbed Moresby Channel, a name that persists on charts to this day. While they didn't rename every island, many channels and reefs were given English names, effectively stamping British authority onto the very seascape of the Maldives. Despite the political maneuvering, the results of the survey were astonishing. The charts Moresby produced were so accurate that they were only surpassed by satellite imaging in the late 20th century. For generations, local pilots relied on these British maps. The data Moresby collected even influenced Charles Darwin's groundbreaking theory on the formation of coral atolls. But this success came at a personal cost. Tropical climate destroyed Moresby's health, forcing him into early retirement. Today, as the Maldives faces the existential threat of rising sea levels, these 19th century maps serve as a crucial historical baseline, a snapshot of a world on the brink of change. The name Moresby Channel remains a stark reminder of how empires can redraw the world with or without consent. The story of Maldivian cartography goes back even further, revealing a fascinating connection to another island group. Ancient maps suggest that the southern tip of the Maldives, once known as Fulhavahi or Fihanhib, is what we now call the Chagos Archipelago. Early Portuguese maps from the 16th century, like the famous Cantino Planisphere of 1502, depicted the Maldives and Chagos as a single, continuous chain of islands. It was only later, when the British redrew the maps, that the two were separated. These ancient charts now form a key part of the modern-day decolonization argument for the Maldives' claim to the Chagos Islands. From ancient lore sketched on Portuguese charts to Ameen Didi's proud national atlas, the mapping of the Maldives is a story of identity, power, and resilience. It's the story of how a nation of scattered jewels in the ocean defined its borders and asserted its place in the world, against the currents of history and the rising tides. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into Maldivian heritage. If you found this journey as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from around the world. See you next time.